guys, how's everybody doing out there? Ren Carruthers with your Future Stars forecast on this 2-year-old Tuesday. We had just an action-packed week, right, with Royal Ascot going on. Tons of great racing. In particular, we did have some win-in-your-ins. That included, we saw Palace Pier winning the Queen Anne Stakes. That's a win-in-your-in for the FanDuel Mile. We saw Love winning the Prince of Wales's. That gets her into the Longines Turf. And then we had the first win-in-your-in for the Future Stars Friday card, specifically a race that gets the horse into the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf Sprint, and that was Perfect Power. And, I'm going to go ahead and show you the replay of that race. This is the Norfolk Stakes, and, really, really cool to see these 2-year-olds get out there and strut their stuff on a stage like Royal Ascot. So let's go ahead and show you that race.
Without him, here's Barty.
Four instinctive moves. Straits of Moyle very slow to get out of the starting stalls. Little Earl and Lucci are the first two to show. Go Bears Go leads the group over on the extreme left, going very fast. King of Speed and also Nakatomi and company with that Twilight Jet and Perfect Power towards the right, a close-up. Kunan is with those. Second Wind is right against the grandstand side, running well. Andreas Versalis with this, and Project Dante is next. At the moment, Straits of Moyle is the back marker over the far side, and Novello getting in contact as well. Heading down to the 2 marker, and as they do so, the light blue cap towards the right is Lucci showing in front there. Over on the far side, Go Bears Go to Corker, Nakatomi, and right on the far side, Catamosto there with a chance. Mere side, Kunan, Twilight Jet are trying to challenge Lucci, and behind those in the black and yellow, Project Dante wide across the course. Here's Perfect Power as well as they hit the line tight. Perfect Power from Go Bears Go, Catamosto nearest to us, Project.
So there you go. Perfect Power winning the Norfolk Stakes. Again, a win and you're in for the Juvenile Turf Sprint on Future Stars Friday. This is for trainer Richard Fahey, jockey Paul Hannigan, and owner Sheikh Rashid Dalmouk Al Maktoum. Real quick note, pedigree-wise, because I am the petty geek, this horse is by our dad. This is his first crop, so it's pretty exciting. And our dad himself, really good at 2 years old, very precocious, won the Flying Childer Stakes, also won the Windsor Castle. And the cool thing about Windsor Castle, he won that by 3 1/4 lengths, beat Batash in that race, and he did it in a faster time than Profitable, who won the Group 1 King's Stand later that day. And a real quick mention, I do want to say we did see a horse from our Future Stars Friday program, Capinelli, who she suffered her first career defeat actually in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf. She ran 4th that day, but she went from the Commonwealth of Kentucky and she went and won the Commonwealth Stakes there at Royal Ascot. And I will show you that race. Just, it's short enough. I do have my special guest waiting, but let's take a look at Capinelli basically avenging herself, coming back. This was her first start since the Juvenile Turf Fillies. And there was a little bit of a drama situation because technically she wins this via DQ, but they were so close hitting the line together that it didn't really feel as though it was just one of those races where you got it in the steward's room. It really did feel like she earned it. I'll go ahead and
Measure of Magic on the far side, Happy Romance being driven along is 5,000 to 1. Out the back, the Learjet at this stage, and Laws of Indices as they race down the centre to stand side, and it's Mighty Gurkha and Campanelli on the near side. A Case of You with every chance with Dragon Symbol coming there. Swazer being pushed along as well. Then Moonista on the far side, Happy Romance and 5,000 to 1, and Dragon Symbol has come through to take it up from Campanelli, is trying to fight back as they race on now towards the final furlong. They're drifting across to the far side. Dragon Symbol and Campanelli, they have it between them. Dragon Symbol on the near side, on the far side, Campanelli trying to repeat last year's Queen Mary win. She's digging deep. Campanelli and Dragon Symbol, they pass the post together in the Commonwealth Cup. Followed home in third by Measure of Magic.
Dandelion is by the Learjet.
Such a cool horse, and again, was DQ'd into that win, but you saw how close that was. And again, that was her first start since Future Stars Friday at Breeders' Cup. So very exciting there. Also exciting, and big congratulations as well to Wesley Ward and Stone Street Stables, of course, and her jockey, Frankie Dettori, who was aboard a horse connected to my special guest who put in a tremendous performance, but we're going to watch that performance together, and that is Brendan Walsh. Hi.
Hi, Ren. How are we doing?
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I'm doing great, especially because I have such a fabulous guest today on the show that, what a week you're coming off. So let me ask you, first of all, your impressions of just Royal Ascot as a whole, and then we're going to talk about Extravagant Kid and that great show performance he put in the King's Stand.
Yeah, it's a fantastic week's racing, Ren. When I was in Ireland when I was a kid, and after, of course, we grew up around it. I've been there many times when I worked in England as an assistant, and when I was with Godolphin in England. So it's like Breeders' Cup weekend over here. It's massive. And so to have a horse that was good enough to go over and take a shot at one of the races was fantastic, and he didn't let us down. He ran a super race.
Well, let's go ahead and we'll show everybody, and I'm going to keep you in so you can give commentary regarding just how I mean it has to be kind of surreal. It's too bad you weren't there in attendance, right? You stayed back here in the States.
Yeah, I stayed back because they wanted us to do 5 days quarantine when we went out.
Oh
So it's
gosh.
5 days, and then however many days you're out there. So we're just way too busy right here. And plus the thought of locking myself up for 5 days wasn't particularly appealing. I don't know if I'd do 5 hours in, let alone 5 days. So
no kidding.
yeah, so hopefully, but we might make it. We're gonna come back and running back in the July Cup on July 10th. So maybe I'll go.
Is this breaking news, or had you already discussed this?
I think it might have leaked out the last 24 hours, but it's not complete. It's not complete. It's not everybody knows it yet. So it's.
Well, actually, now that you bring that up, just quick question for you, because I had read commentary from Wesley Ward regarding Campanelli, and that he thinks that, he had mentioned July, the July Cup, that might be too quick of a turnaround. If she did go, what do you make of that?
I mean, he's kind of in the same boat as I am. She ran just a few days after. She might have had a harder race. The ground was softer, but I don't know. I think Wesley has got other options as well. I think he's possibly thinking about, there's a race in France and a few other spots as well down the line. Wesley seems to all the options are open for him. So, but we're thinking we're there already. We're in Newmarket. We might just run in the July Cup and then bring him back to the States.
Well, let's take a look again at this performance here in the King's Stand. And just takes me a second because it's a little bit of clicking here, clicking there to get this to pop up on screen. But here we go, the King's Stand Stakes.
They race away for the King's Stand Stakes. 5 furlongs is the chase.
So where did you watch?
From the stores.
In the office at Keeneland in the barn. We had the TV on. I wanted to watch it with the guys. I didn't want to go somewhere, fancy to watch it because I didn't want to tempt fate,
Yeah.
So I thought we'll just, the boys were all, obviously everyone was super interested. So I just wanted to watch it with the guys at the at work, because it was right after training.
And how did once the horses popped from the gate, what were your initial reaction? What was your initial reaction to how everybody broke away?
Yeah, he broke in a knot a little bit, Ren. I don't know why. He wasn't the best break I've ever seen him, but he is a horse sometimes will break a little slow, if anything, but not a huge excuse. There was he got a bump from the winner when the winner came through, but I think, talking to Frankie after, he felt if he was drawn on the near side, he thinks he would have had a little better trip, and he wouldn't have had to maneuver over as much and give up as much ground. So he thinks, he'd probably have been second. Would he have won? Probably not. But listen, the horse ran a huge race, and we're very proud of him. He's been to Dubai now,
Yes.
and into this race, and he ran two great races. It's just been fantastic fun. He's just been a great servant.
Globetrotter. I actually have his win here from the all-cost sprint, all queued up, so we can even show that. And this in particular, I mean, just obviously with your connection with, Godolphin and everything, being in Dubai and winning a race there had to have even more significance for you, I would think.
Yeah, no, it was fantastic, Rain. I mean, we've been lucky in Dubai. We brought Plus Caparfe over there 2 years
UAE
previously, UAE Derby, and he won as well. So to get it done twice was really, really special. It seems to be a happy hunting ground for us. So, it was fantastic. This was a great race, and it was just, it was thrilling. I mean, we were just thrilled with the horse. I mean, we expected him to run well, but to win it is another thing. And he ran a hell of a race against a very good field of horses as well.
And this was his 50th, everybody, his 50th start. And I mean, he's 8 years old. And I know this, but just for those out there who are kind of new to racing, because, there are a lot of people who like horse racing, who like horses, who are equestrians. And, in equestrian sports, generally, their horses are just getting rolling at 4 years old. But in racing, obviously, 8. To have a horse blossom to that level at this point in his career is very rare. Can you speak to that?
He's just been a model of consistency, Ren. It seems like he might actually be a little better this year than he was. He's as good as he ever was anyway. He was only beaten a length in the Breeders' Cup last year. He was beaten, half a length at Churchill on Derby Day last year in the turf sprint. His form is unbelievable. Never, very, very rarely runs a below par race, and if he does, there's generally a good reason for it. But I mean, this year he just seemed as good as ever, and I felt it was the right time to. We had kicked around going to Dubai the last couple of years, I have to admit, but we managed to get it all set up this year, and he went out and won. So, you have in the back of your mind how long more is it going to last? But with this horse, who knows? There might be another good year in him. There might be another good 2 years in him, but he owes us nothing now, so everything's a bonus from here on in.
Well, you just mentioned being beaten a length in the Breeders' Cup sprint, and the thing to remember with that is he had post 14.
He did, yeah, widest of all, yeah. And he gave up a ton of ground, just from the post, really. I mean, if he had a better post, he'd have been banged there, I'm sure. Again, but turf sprints are funny, yourself. Right. Like there's you have one minor thing go wrong and you're in trouble. I mean, it's a game of inches really, and just the slightest inch here, an inch there, and it's either works for or against you, and that's why you get so many different results all the time. But he seems to be a horse that just seems to be able to produce it pretty much every time he goes out there.
Yeah, I meant to say Breeders' Cup turf sprint, obviously, but yeah, I mean, just like you said, a game of inches, and to have a horse go out there and be so consistently game. He came to your barn a little bit later into his career, correct?
Yeah, we claimed him, I guess, about 4 years ago. Ren, he was a high-end claim. We gave 75 grand for him in the claim box. Yeah, I'll never forget. I remember seeing him. I remember I was supposed to go. I was in New Orleans and I was supposed to go to Florida. We have horses in Florida too, and Mr. Ross asked me to fly in a day early and have a look at this guy and see if we wanted to claim him, and I did. And I'll never forget him walking out. He look like a nice horse. Of course, you've only got a couple of minutes to look at them when
Yeah.
you're going to claim them. So I said, yeah, why not? And we did, and the rest is history. You know, it's well, I never in my wildest dreams would I have even dreamt that he was going to do what he's done in the meantime. But it is a great story.
Can you imagine? Why not? And now he's a Group 1 winner. I mean,
Yeah.
and a length away from being a Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint champ too. It's just so cool. I did watch a video which this was ahead of Royal Ascot, and you were talking about how he can be kind of grumpy. But I'd also read commentary from you that he's super smart. There was a line that you said that you almost expect that he's going to just talk to you one day there in the barn, and that he also flourishes with the new things, new tracks to go to, just routine being changed up a bit. Can you talk about that to our audience, and more of what you mean regarding these personalities of these horses? Because obviously, not every horse is going to be the same.
No, I mean, they're all different. They're like people. They're all different, and it's trying to get to know them and their mentality is, I think, what brings out the, you can get a little extra out of them. But when for years when I was in Godolphin, Ren, we, the name of the game with them was traveling horses and shipping them all over the world. So we were fortunate enough to do a good bit of it, to the Middle East, to places like Hong Kong and Singapore and places like that. And I was lucky enough to accompany a lot of horses. And it's amazing, a horse goes somewhere else, they get off the plane and there's a new environment, and a lot of horses just blossom. And especially these older horses that are in, the same routine week in, week out. I ran Extravagant Kid this year. Before he went to Dubai, we ran him at the fairgrounds. I just felt he was getting, a little bit stale, and I sent him to the fairgrounds about. It's a good journey from Florida to the fairgrounds, and I sent him deliberately. I did his last piece of work in Florida. I sent him to New Orleans about 5 days out, because I thought, well, I'm going to confuse him a little bit here, just to get him to think, just to get his mind running a little bit. And he actually missed a break in New Orleans and came flying at the end and ran second. The winner got out in the lead, but he ran the best race he'd run for a little while. And it was kind of a little bit of a dress rehearsal for Dubai. I know there's a big difference between the fairgrounds and Maidan, but yeah, it was just part of what we were thinking, and just to freshen him up a little bit and give him something else to think about. Like I said, he's clever, and he needs something just to perk him up a little bit from time to time.
Oh, well, the other thing that's really cool about a horse like this is a horse with which, the options when he does retire are kind of open in terms of still having a connection to the track. Is this the type of horse that you'd still want to keep, alongside as a pony horse potentially when he does retire? Or is he going to just be a pretty lawn ornament? Has this been discussed at all?
We haven't really talked about it. I have a pony right now called Scuba, he actually won the marathon on Breeders' Cup weekend at Santa Anita. And he's my pony in Keeneland right now, and he's actually doing a pretty good job at it. This guy, I'm not sure if he'd have the mind for it. He's like I said, he's a little grumpy, and I'm not sure how he'd react. But we try to find when these horses retire. Honorable Judy's another horse. He's doing a little bit of show jumping now. He was a good horse we had. So we always try to find a nice home for them and a nice second career if we can't keep them ourselves. This guy will definitely have to find something nice for him and somewhere where we can keep contact with him, because he's going to have to either we adopt him ourselves or we'll take him to somebody we know, but we'll definitely find a good home for him, because he's always going to be a very special horse.
I just can't get over that. Why not? Just because that's the thing. The potential for these horses sometimes, a lot of times even the bettors, it's not just the horsemen, but the bettors, they decide what a horse is and what a horse is capable of. And they don't, I don't know. I don't know what it is that you see necessarily that's the nuance that you're like, well, this could be something more. We could claim this horse. And like you said, a high level claim, yes, but still a claim. And get this horse trained into becoming what he is now and being, again, a Group 1 winner. What is it when you look at a horse like that, you obviously thought that you'd get your money back, or the potential was there for that. Did you think you'd go this far with him?
Oh, absolutely not, Ren. I mean, he was a Florida bred. We'd had, I had some success for Mr. Ross with a turf sprinter a few years ago that we claimed as well. A horse called Bye Bye Bernie. He ended up winning the Arctic at Woodbine. So it was almost like that. This guy, he was a Florida bred. He was going to be very competitive in Florida bred stakes. Mr. Ross puts a lot of time and a lot of thought into these things, and when he comes up with one, especially these high dollar ones, when I looked at the horse's form initially, I thought, why would we want this horse? And then the more I looked at it, I thought, well, if we can get him, he had the talent and he had some back class, and I think with horses like that, you've always got a chance if you can resurrect the back class. So he and the talent was there, so it was just a question of changing a few things here and there. Not that the people that had him before me did a fantastic job with the horse, and he ran it the day we claimed him. He ran a really good race. I can't tell you the name of the horse, but he beat a good horse of Todd Pletcher's that day on the dirt. And he's been very versatile. I mean, people forget he runs on dirt too, and has run some bang up races on dirt, as well as the turf. So the Florida bred angle was a big angle, but did we think he was going to be an open graded stake horse? Maybe a graded stake horse, but not a grade 1 horse, not our wildest dreams. But he was second in the Highlander at Woodbine a couple of years ago, going 6.5. He ran really well. We thought, well, maybe that's as close as we're going to get with a grade 1. But this year, the little change around in things, I think that really helped him, and it just got him another length or two, and here we are.
That's so cool. Do you remember the day that you thought, hey, let's go graded stakes?
I think he progressed towards, a chance at a graded stake, because I need to look back at his form. My memory needs a little triggering. I'm getting a little older, Ren, but
I have mom brain, believe me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but he progressed his way up to being good enough to take a shot. I think we ran him in a few listed stakes and things like that, and he won them, and I think he was second at grade 3 for us in Florida, maybe the first year we had him. And he just progressed from there, and again, Mr. Ross, he manages these horses very well, and James Breeden, his racing manager, between the two of them and ourselves, I feel like we've managed this horse really well for the rare occasion that we do. But yeah, and he progressed nicely, and like I said, here we are.
Well, this isn't the first time that you've developed a horse from the claiming ranks into being a star. Carey Street comes to mind, obviously. You claimed him, and he went on to win the marathon, the Las Vegas Marathon back in the day. Is there a sense of something being even more rewarding when you're taking a horse and really you've pulled out the best in them, as opposed to getting a horse that we already know is bred in the purple, ready to rock and roll, and going up the levels and into stakes competition? Is there just something that's a little bit more of a wow, I helped mold this horse, almost like an artist chiseling the form out of stone?
I mean, a lot of it too, Ren, is a lot of horses. People, we see it year in, year out. They don't get a chance to mature, and I think a lot of horses, they get to 3-year-old or early 4-year-old year and they're not quite getting it done. And I think a lot of horses improve with some age, if given a chance, and a little confidence. And and listen, we've had plenty of disasters too, that horses that we couldn't develop, and it's but any of the ones I think we have, they've been very willing horses, and horses that have had back class, and they had a good attitude. They were some horses I think you get, when you claim them, they're cooked, if you like, and they just they're gone beyond really improving, for a physical or a mental reason. But it's a thing of trial and error, I think, with them. Carey Street, I mean, he was an unbelievable. I actually claimed him for myself, and the day I claimed him for 10 grand, and he got beaten a pole. And I remember we were up giving him a bath after, and I was just getting started at the time, and 10 grand it's still a lot of money, but back then when I was trying to get going, it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, oh God, what have I done here now? I'm after throwing 10 grand down the drain. But we got him right. He had hind end problems, and we got him right, and it took us a while. But the year that he won, he won the Greenwood Cup at Parks, and he won the Las Vegas Marathon at Santa Anita. But he went through a time then where he was, his confidence was high, and he was, he didn't think anybody could beat him, and he used to come from way out of it. That day at Santa Anita, he must have been 20 lengths, 30 lengths behind him going by me the first time, and I thought to myself, I come all the way to Santa Anita for this. And I remember Angel Cordero was stood next to me. We were watching the race, and he happened to be next to me. And he went by the first time. He said, "Your horse is going to win." And I looked at him. I'm thinking, "Oh yeah, right." But he obviously was a lot smarter with pace than I was, and he was watching the clock, and he thought, "Well, they're going too fast. He's probably going to run right by them," and he did, and he won by 7 or 8 lengths. It was quite an amusing story.
How long did it take you to gather yourself to get to the winner's circle at that point? And did you take Angel with you?
Oh, we were thrilled. Yeah, well, he was invited. I don't think he showed up, but he was invited. But yeah, I mean, that was a thrill, because it's amazing what horses will do for you, particular horses, Ren. And I can honestly say I don't know if I'd be training today if it wasn't for Carey Street, because I sold half of them. I retained half of them. He paid an awful lot of bills when we were at a very, very tough time. I mean, it's very hard for anybody to train. People forget, and there's some really good horsemen and good trainers who have tried, and for one reason or another they haven't, they've had to stop because, for financial reasons, or they just didn't have the luck. I mean, I got very lucky with Carey Street. I often think if he hadn't showed up, would we be here today with Extravagant Kid or who Maxfield or whoever else? It's amazing, these small little things, they just fall into place. But and he did for us, so we might owe as much to him as we do to any horse that we've ever had.
Oh my gosh. No, it's so profound what you just said. Absolutely. You just don't know. And sometimes it's the blue collar horses that when they really get an opportunity to show their quality, they really do prove themselves to be the underpinning or the backbone of the sport. And in so many different ways that carry on through. And it's kind of funny. I know it's Cary, but still Carey Street. He's carried you through onto the path you are now, if we're going to get even more literal with the name. But you just mentioned a name of a superstar in the barn, another one, and that is Maxfield. And we have a lot of people who are just, and I'm one of them, huge fans of this horse. And for, ever since that Claiborne Futurity, I mean, that race was his coming out party. Because it was just so exceptional what he did. I think a lot of us who are big fans, and actually here's somebody right here. How's Maxfield been training coming into this race? Talking about the Stephen Foster on Saturday. I think for many of us who are fans, that slingshot move he made in the Claiborne Breeders' Fraternity is just sort of emblazoned in memory.
Yeah, it was quite a day, Ren, and for a 2-year-old to do that as well, in only his second start, to take all that kickback, and and I mean, I was looking at a photograph of him the other night when he was 2, and he was only a frame of a horse. I mean, I didn't expect him to win first time out when he broke his maiden at Churchill. My plan was to run him in the maiden and to try to set him up to win a Keeneland maiden. There was a 2-turn maiden at Keeneland, and I thought, well, I'll do that. I'll go to Keeneland, and if he's a nice horse, we might run it, say, the Kentucky Jockey Club, and that would do going into the winter. I'll never forget, Jose Ortiz got off him after the maiden, and he said to me, where are we going to go next? And I was like, he said, would we not run into Grade 1? And I looked at him like, it had not for a split second even entered my head that this horse would be going to run the Futurity at Keeneland. And that's what set me thinking initially, and I just thought, well, if he comes out of this really good, because we were coming back again in 3 weeks, and that's because up to that I hadn't really. It just shows how good the horse was, because that was my expectations of him. I thought he was a big horse, and he was going to be a nicer 3-year-old, and that's what I had initially set out to do. But typical of Max, he tends to have his own thoughts when it comes to stuff like that, and he seems to achieve over and above what you expect every time.
Did Jose have some bragging rights after the race saying, "I told you so"?
Not really. I don't think he realized what was going on in my head, because he said it to me, and I was like puzzled. I had to think for a second, what Grade 1 is he even talking about? And then I was like, oh yeah, what other one would there be? And but yeah, that was my thought process on the horse before he ever ran.
And that was your first Grade 1, right?
It was, yeah.
Oh my gosh! So how surreal was it for you? That's the word. I'm sorry. I know that's the word that we usually all go to. It must have been surreal. But how else do you describe it?
It was quite surreal. I mean, even on the day, you don't. I thought he was a very, very talented horse, but like you said, the move he made that day, Ren, that's the stuff of brilliance.
Yes.
And like I said, he was a frame of a horse as a 2-year-old, and to do that at 2, I always looked at him as being a horse that was going to be just a super 3 and 4-year-old. Somebody said to me, actually this morning, I was doing an interview with somebody, and they said, was it so disappointing, when we scratched him from the Breeders' Cup when we went out to California, when we had to stop on him again after he won the Matt Win as a 3-year-old. It was everything that happened to him was fixable. So, it wasn't as devastating. It was devastating, but it wasn't as devastating as it would have been if the horse's career had been ended.
Yeah.
Because I always thought, well, this horse is, has the potential to be a very, very, very good horse. And, there was always in the back of our minds that we were always going to get another shot with him. And of course, the team at Godolphin were fantastic. There's never any pressure from them, to run in any race or to have a horse, ready at 2 or 3. If you tell them this horse needs to be 4 or needs to be 5, they'll let you do it if they think that there's a chance that they might be a very good horse. And so, there was always the chance that he was going to show his what he was potentially going to be. And hopefully this year, I think he has realized it to a point already, but hopefully we can go a little further and do a little more as the year goes on.
Well, he does win the first 5 starts of his career, and then you take him to Santa Anita in the Santa Anita Handicap. I don't want to show that race because it makes me sad. But I will show you because we're huge fans. Obviously, as you know, I will show you my daughter watching him run because she was very excited. And I thought this was too cute not to share. So here she is.
Maxfield has settled down with time to take off. The rail hold the fence, followed by Idle and Yesterday Goodbye. 7 lengths covers the field as they head to the front. Studio has
She was all in. She was all in. But as you may or may not remember, we actually okay. Oh, I don't have that photo loaded. Okay, so she met Maxfield when we were at the barn back when we did the interview together when he was 2 years old. This was after the breeder's maturity. There we are, and then he just loves you.
Yeah.
Kisses from Max. But yeah, he was great with her too. And the thing is, when you've got this giant, he was already, I thought he was, obviously you're talking about 2-year-old, he needs to fill out, but you could see everything there. I mean, what a striking individual. And the pedigree on top of it. Here you've got this son of Street Sense, who's out of a Bernardini mare. She's a 3/4 sister to Sky Mesa. And then the family's got Outstandingly and all these great horses in it. It's a sire's pedigree. So the fact that this horse got his grade 1 at 2, and I mean, is just one of these horses who, let me ask you this regarding the Santa Anita Handicap. He's grade 1 place now at 3, or at 4 rather. Do you feel like the race, was it a distance situation now going 1.25 miles? Because I mean, sometimes it can be a matter of distance or a matter of track in combination with that particular distance, because Santa Anita can, tend to play a bit heavy.
Yeah, I think Reda was a combination of, listen, he went into gate, he was even money going into gate. So are you in the wrong spot? Absolutely not.
No.
I think it was a combination.
Oh, your audio went out. Okay, we can fix it though. Your audio went out. Here's what we're going to do. Tap your screen again and it might come back up. No. Okay, so you have the link that you joined the show. I'm going to kick you out and you come right back in. And then your audio should be back. Okay? You hear me? Okay, so I'm going to kick you out. You come back in. Let's see here. So we're going to have Brendan join us once we get the audio situation. While we're waiting for him, let's go ahead. We're going to actually watch Maxfield avenge himself in the Ali Sheba Stakes. Really great performance there at Churchill Downs. He's 3 for 3 over that track. That is, of course, where the Stephen Foster is going to be run this Saturday. It is a win in, you're in for the Classic. So let's go ahead. We'll watch Maxfield here.
On the outside, and these two will take over into that first turn. So it will be Visited to the front, setting the pace early and on top by a length over Roadster. Maxfield is 3 lengths off of them with Sonovan to his inside, then Chess Chief between them and Attachment Rate the trailer. The opening quarter mile was 23.91 seconds. As they head to the backstretch, it's Visited in front. On the outside, Roadster prompting the pace in second by 3. Maxfield is third, just outside of Sonovan. Attachment Rate is fifth right now with 6 lengths to make up. Chess Chief is the trailer, halfway up the backstretch. Visitant on top. 3/4 of a length ahead of Roadster as they go through a 47.48 half mile. Now these two head for the far turn with the favorite Maxfield beginning to edge up closer now. He's within 3 lengths of the lead midway on the turn. Then Sonovan to the inside. Attachment Rate is being asked to run, and Chess Chief at the back of the pack. Here comes Maxfield, edging up alongside of these 2 front runners, and now we've got 3 of them in a line as they make their way to the top of the stretch. Maxfield has rallied up on the outside and takes over at the top of the lane. It is Maxfield in front. coming down to the gate pole, and battling on the inside is Visited. Roadster is third, a furlong to run. Maxfield and Jose Ortiz a 3-length lead. Visited to the inside is second, then Roadster, Chess Chief, and Sonoman coming to the line. Maxfield is back in the Alley Shiva, and he was strong today. He won it by 4 over Visited. Then it was Chess Chief, followed by Roadster and Sonoman.
Okay, that right there was awesome. I mean, Maxfield put up a 105 buyer winning that race, winning the Ali Sheba there. And again, we're going to be looking forward to seeing him running in the Stephen Foster Stakes. That is this Saturday. And I think we've got Brendan back just in time. Survey says yes.
There we go.
Okay, welcome back. But it's great. You know, I was able, no, don't you worry about it. I was able to show the Ali Shiva as we waited for your anticipated return. And, you know, what a performance he put in there. But going back to what we were discussing with Santa Anita, what did you make of that performance in which he was third that day?
You know, it was the first time, right, when we went down to Florida this winter, the horse was still a very unexposed horse. And everything, even in New Orleans, everything had kind of come easy enough to him. He never really had a battle, and he seemed like, you know, he was winning these races. And I don't mean to sound cocky or anything, but he was winning these races with a bit in the hand. You know, we felt it was a good time to try a grade 1 with the horse again. So, you know, we went 3 weeks later, shipped him all the way to California, off 3 weeks rest, a mile and a quarter first time. It was a handicap. He gave weight all round for a relatively lightly raced horse. You know, different track, different type of track. You know, so he had a lot of things against him. But like I said, he went to the gate. He was even money favourite. So from the outset, it looked like a good spot for the horse. And I think it's the first time he had to really face adversity. And I think in order, you know, when I was leaving the races after, you know, I thought this is either going to make the horse or it's not. And you know, I think it did him good to face the adversity. So we brought him back. We gave him plenty of time. Thankfully, he came back sound. You know, and he just started working with a different, you know, he's a different horse to a point. You know, person that didn't know the horse wouldn't have seen it, but I could see it. He got a little more aggressive, and he lost a kind of a baby way about him. And I think you have to toughen up these older horses. And he's a horse, Ren, was always on the back foot a little bit as far as experience and seasoning was concerned. And when you're going to, you know, if you're going to be a top older horse and you're going to take on, you know, a gun runner or a Mystic Guide or these type of horses, you better have some seasoning and you better have been in a few scraps. And I think we did that in Santa Anita. And yeah, you know, if he wasn't unbeaten, I think everybody would have looked at it and said, well, he ran well enough, you know, and walked on next step. And by the way, he actually got beaten by a pretty good horse.
Yes, Idol.
Santa Anita. Yeah. I think that horse, I don't know what's happened since, but that horse, he won at Churchill Downs last fall, I believe, and he was very impressive. And you know, you look at his form, he's a pretty good horse too. Out and out mile and a quarter horse. So, you know, so at the time, yeah, because you're unbeaten and you're like, oh, you know. But you know, I think when we look at it now and see what he did in the Ali Sheba, and hopefully, you know, what we can do for the rest of the year, it might actually be the best thing that we ever did with the horse.
Well, that's a great way of looking at it. Is there a little bit of a, I don't know, slight added pressure kind of let off when an undefeated record is no longer something that maybe you're even subconsciously thinking about?
Yeah, a little bit, I think. Yeah, you know, you try not to think about that stuff. You know, you try not to have it influence anything, or you know, we could have gone the, you know, an easier route too. We could have kept him at home or at least on this side of the country, and we could have, you know, there was a couple of easier looking spots, but none of them are easy. You still have to show up, and you still have to take on seasoned horses, and the best of horses get beat.
Yeah.
American Pharoah got beat, and he was as good a horse
Secretariat,
as
Man of War,
Secretary got beat.
Zenyatta.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They all, and this, even Zenyatta got beat. Sadar
Yeah.
got beat.
You got to run those races.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's
And
But it's hard because I would imagine there are some people, oh, we don't care about a record or we don't care about it. How do you not subconsciously care about that to a point? Obviously, you keep everything relative, in perspective, but there's obviously a little bit of extra swagger when you say, yeah, horse is undefeated. The headlines read a bit different. But like you were saying, it's not like that was a cupcake horse who won the race or anything like that. This is an experience for him. He's shipping all the way across country. He put in a great performance. It just wasn't a winning one that day.
yeah, exactly. But he put in a good performance, and like I said, I think it helped the horse to advance to the next step. But you can, like I said, the best of horses get beat, and they turn around, and there's different periods in their career where they're really, really brilliant, and hopefully his best part of his career is in front of him. I think it is.
Oh, I believe that. Now, how is he training up in advance of the Stephen Foster this weekend?
Super, Ren. He hasn't missed a beat, since the Ali Sheba. We had the exact same time period from the Ali Sheba to the Stephen Foster as we had from the race at Santa Anita to the Ali Sheba. So I've kind of tried to simulate it as much as I could, works, giving him a little time initially, and then working him into the race. We brought him to Churchill like we did before the Ali Sheba for his last piece of work. He generally spends a lot of his time at Keeneland. But we brought him to Churchill, and he loves Churchill, of course. He's 3 for 3 at Churchill now.
Yep.
Yeah. So so we've tried to simulate it as much as we can, and I believe me, if he doesn't run well on Saturday, I'll have no complaints from a preparation point of view. I think we prepped him as good as we have for any race. So.
Well, he put in, again, as I mentioned, as you were coming back into the show, 105 buyer winning the Ali Sheba Stakes. What would be the perfect scenario for you of how everything draws up on Saturday? I know we don't have the field drawn yet, but.
Yeah, I mean, I just hope that he gets a good draw again. And, it looks like it's going to be maybe 6 or 7 runner field. So we just hope for a good draw, a good trip. 1.8 should be perfect for him. He loves Churchill, and with him, it's a question of letting him do his thing. He can be up there on the pace. He can come from behind. He's a pretty adaptable horse. Once he gets a clean trip and that, I think he's always dangerous.
Yeah, he must just love flicking those legs out. That stretch is 1,235 feet long, and just coming around that turn, let him roll, right?
Yeah. No, that's what he did at Churchill, and Jose knows him really well at this point, and he loves the horse, and he's always loved the horse. He's always got on well with the horse. So I'll just leave it to him. I mean, like I say, he's an easy enough horse to ride, so there's no real, we'll just see what way the race sets up and take it from there. But there's no particular ways of doing it with him. I'll just leave it to Jose.
Have you ever been on his back? I know you rode for Godolphin, so.
he's the last racehorse I've ever ridden.
Really?
Outside of Scuba, yeah. I jogged him last year after the Matt win. One of the mornings I gave him a jog myself. I wanted to feel how he was moving, and I think I called it a day after that. I don't know that I can ride a whole lot better than him, so it was probably a good way to go out. So if if you see me jump on another racehorse in the next few years, it'll probably be because all my staff have left me or something like that. But yeah, if I can, he'll be the last one that I'd have ridden. But
Oh,
I did gallop him. I galloped him as a 2-year-old. I remember the boys telling me about. A couple of the boys telling me, "Oh, this horse is lovely. This horse is lovely, boss. You have to ride this horse." And I got on him one morning and galloped him, and yeah, I mean, you couldn't, but he couldn't but make an impression on you when you ride him. I mean, he's got a stride from here to the end of the yard out there. It's unbelievable. It's straight away. He uses class mentally as well. I mean, he just takes over, and he's got an unbelievable mind, Ren. So yeah, he's just a remarkable horse. I hope there's another one down the line sometime, but it'll be a long time before I'll find one like him, I think.
oh. Well, I know you were working with, the training side and Godolphin at the time, but did you ever get on his paternal grandsire, Street Cry?
No, but I did actually lead him a lot of his works. When the year he won the World Cup in Dubai, the poor unfortunate horse that I used to gallop all the time had the job of leading him in a lot of his work, and he used to just whiz by us in the end. I think it was tough on the horse I was on, but he was a remarkably good horse, Street Cry. Maybe didn't achieve what he could have achieved because he had some issues, and I think if he hadn't the issues, I think he might have been one of the all-time greats. He was a very, very good horse. Yeah, super horse.
Well, he was
Beautiful
good
horse too.
and he had talent. They were showing it too as well. We was third in the juvenile, right? If I recall.
Yeah. I think he might have been. Was he third in Johannesburg's juvenile? Maybe.
Was it? Let me I want to double check so I don't misspeak. But as I'm doing that, do you see just physically a lot of the Street Cry in Maxfield?
Yeah, you do see a bit of it. Max is he's just that, like you've got two producers of really, really good looking horses either side of his pedigree. I mean, the Bernardinis are beautiful horses too. They're always got lots of size, and Street Cry, Street Sense the same. Actually, when Max was off after the Matt win, they kept him in the stallion barn before he came back at Godolphin, because they had a water treadmill up there, and he was up there with the stallions. And when I went to see him one afternoon, Street Sense was up there too, and we saw them all. And yeah, he didn't look as mature as them guys because they're all big, strong, powerful horses. But he didn't look out of place either. But you could see, there was a lot of the Street Sense in him. And the stallion men, they know better than anybody, and they were saying, that hopefully, when his time does come, that he'll have a spot up there, and I'm sure he'll look every bit as good as the rest of them.
Yeah, well, it was the Macho Uno Point Given year, in which
That was it, yeah.
Because our Johannesburg was 2001, I think. I believe so. But here's the other thing. I wonder, do you think that also played a role in mentally toughening him up, being in the stallion barn?
Sorry, Ren, I lost you there for a second.
Oh, no, it's okay. Do you think being in the stallion barn at all played a role in toughening him up at all?
I don't know. They kind of keep them away from each other, but he was like, he was in the lap of luxury up there anyway.
Yeah, right.
He seemed like he was really enjoying it, but it was quite amusing to see him up there.
Yeah, don't get too comfy yet, buddy. Don't get the dad bod yet. You got more to do.
Got a bit of running to do yet, pal.
Well, what do you think? I mean, just the evolution of training. When you're talking about the treadmill, the water treadmill there, and everything. In terms of, it's kind of funny because you do mention a lot of these horses now, they're retired so early. Yet the advancements that have been made in actually putting forward the longevity in a horse's career from, the different water spas and all this has been advanced. So there's this medium. What are your, what's your perspective on all of that in terms of, letting a horse, I mean, you've had such success now, taking your time and patience with a horse, even when a horse has had to leave your barn, more than once, getting them back in and, being able to proceed with them. I'm sure you understand both sides with the stallion deals being in place. And a lot of times people want to retire and get the progeny rolling. But, from a trainer's perspective, what does it look like to you?
You can understand, people retiring horses at 3. There's just so much money on the line anymore, with stallions, etc., and so much can go wrong. You can absolutely understand everybody's perspective. And I think it's horses for courses. I think certain horses are going to be better, for like, Maxfield wasn't going to have enough done as a 3-year-old anyway, and he was always going to be a better 4-year-old. So, Godolphin were they obviously agreed, and they said, well, we have to do a little more with the horse anyway. But you can see why, Godolphin are a little different. I think they're inclined to let horses go on a little longer. They did, obviously Mystic Guide probably didn't have enough done either to retire as a 3-year-old, but he was potentially going to be a very good 4-year-old as well. And you see it with a lot of the horses that are there now. So you can understand from the stallion master's point of view what they want to do. You get 3-year-olds that are very good. They get to the end of the year, there's a lot of money on the line. If they go out as 4-year-olds and things don't come up as planned, you're leaving a lot of money on the table, possibly.
Yeah.
So, you can understand from both points of view. And look, I'm just blessed. I count myself as blessed to have a horse like him that's able to go on as a 4-year-old. Hopefully we'll have horses, as good in years to come that, I'm sure some of them will have to be retired at the end of their 3-year-old. And if that's the way it is, then so be it. But, it's hard to keep horses sound too. And that, so much can go wrong. It's like selling horses, sometimes you're a little disappointed when people sell horses, that you might have and you might be able to keep. But, you've got to understand it from everybody's perspective. And, people have to keep the show on the road as well. And, it's circumstances to each horse, I think, right?
Oh, definitely. And I just thought one of the things that was so impressive, talking about Juddmonte's Arrogate and how he, burst on the scene late in his 3-year-old year. And then he wins the Classic, he wins the Pegasus World Cup, he wins the Dubai World Cup. And that almost felt like a triple crown of sorts for a handicap division. And it'd be really cool to see that done again. If a horse of that caliber, graces us with its presence again. Because not only did you have an older horse doing it, I mean, he's 4 winning the other 2 legs of it, but he did it, from going, track to track and then abroad. And I think that made it even more exciting to have that international, flavor and spin on it. And, one of the things that's interesting now when we have a lot of good horses going forward and looking and projecting to the Classic this year is Godolphin is going to have, it looks like, multiple interests. So we've got Maxfield, we've got the Dubai World Cup winner in Mystic Guide, and Essential Quality potentially meeting up in the Breeders' Cup Classic. Perspective on that?
Who knows? I mean, it's too early in the year.
I know it is. I know.
I mean, absolutely, they've got a very strong hand this year, which is fantastic to see. It's a great position for them to be in, but you just got to take it, I think, step by step, because as we know only too well, so much stuff can go wrong and so much stuff can go right in the meantime, and things change. But I'm sure, if they've got 3 horses for the Classic at the end of the year, if they decide to run them all in the Classic, then so be it. We shall see, but it'll be a nice position for them to be in to have that situation, I'm sure. But I would think they'll try and keep them apart as best they can up to that. I would guess. But
Well, what,
I'm gonna take care of Maxfield and let the rest worry about themselves.
that's right. So are you working back from the Classic when you're mapping out his campaign for the rest of the year?
Look, Brendan, with him, like he's taught us, you take every step at a time, and yeah, it's in the back of your mind, yeah, that you'd hope at the end of the year it would take you to it. But we look forward to Saturday, and then after Saturday, believe me, it doesn't matter. Like we said earlier on when he broke his maiden, I try not
Yeah.
to think too far ahead. I mean, I've always had a plan in my mind with a
Right.
lot of horses, especially the better ones. But you try not to plot too far ahead, because generally you end up spinning your wheels, or worse, getting stuck in the mud.
Were you surprised by the fandom around this horse?
Yeah, it is. It is quite amusing, actually. Yeah, it's nice though. It's nice to have a horse like him that a lot of people follow. It's pretty cool. But yeah, it's great, and it's great for the sport that
Yeah.
people are interested in particular horses, because I think, like any sport, football or baseball or anything like that, sports have to have their heroes and their standouts, and it's nice that he's got his own little fan base. I get people reaching out to me all the time, as to how he's doing, and a
Oh.
lot of people were disappointed when he got hurt.
Yeah.
It was quite it was overwhelming, to the amount of messages I got, and things from people who that was it more than anything, was when he was on, we were on a low with the horse, the amount of people that reached out and sympathized about the whole thing. But like I said, we were always hopeful that we were going to get him back, so we're very grateful to them people, and hopefully they'll get to see plenty of the horse the rest of the year.
Well, a few stats if you know them. How tall is he now? Have you put a stick to him lately?
I'd say he's bordering 17 hands.
Oh, God.
When he's 16.3 anyway. Yeah, he's
Wow.
big. Yeah,
Wow.
he's big.
And
Yeah,
he's so
he's
balanced, though. He's so
yeah.
balanced.
No, he is, and yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
So almost
but
okay.
he's a monster of a horse now. I mean, nobody.
Yeah, we got to do the tail of the tape. Do we
Sorry,
know
go ahead.
how much? Oh, it's a bit of the tail of the tape. How heavy is he now? Do you know that? How much he weighs?
They weighed him at Santa Anita the last day, and I think I can't remember exactly what he was, but he was big.
I believe it. I believe it. He's always been so physically impressive. He's got fabulous bone. Again, so balanced, and yet with that, that scope as well. And temperament wise, when I met him, he was very sweet. You say he's kind of toughened up. Does he still have the sweet demeanor too, though, when he's not working?
He does, yeah. He for a big horse like him, he is actually a sweetheart of a horse. I mean, he just stands there and sticks his tongue out all the time and wants you to grab it. But I mean, he's all boy. He'll bite you too, but never in an aggressive way.
Right.
I've never seen him do anything like pin his ear back. He's typical colt. He'll nip you and stuff like that. But he's actually, for a horse that's as big as he is, he's a gentleman. He's a lovely horse to manage, and I think it's a good job he is, because if he was tough to manage physically, he would be a handful, because he's so big.
Well, I have to ask this, and then I have to ask you about 2-year-old. I know I've already kept you an hour, and I'm sorry, but is he a peppermint, a carrot, or a Mrs. Pastor's cookies horse?
Anything
and
at all.
everything.
Yeah. No, he'll take it all. But he loves to stick his tongue out and grab his tongue. He loves that for whatever
That's
reason.
so cute. No,
Yeah,
adorable. I love it. Whenever he gets back to Keeneland, I'm going to have to mosey out and say hi if that's okay with you.
absolutely.
So I do have to ask about, because this is the future stars forecast, so about any 2-year-olds in the barn that we need to keep an eye out for. But before you respond to that, quick question for you regarding La Sinière, because I feel like I need to give her a little bit of love. She's put in some really game performances this year. She's still looking for that win. She's coming off a second place finish in the Gamely. How is she doing, and what is next for her?
Doing good, Ren. Yeah, we brought her back. She's at Keeneland at the moment, and she's doing good. We worked her first work since the game last week, and she did her usual. She's a solid worker every time she goes out, and she wants to do a little more than you want to let her, um, every time. But she's doing great. She's been a good filly. She's been very
Yeah.
good. She's ran great in Keeneland last year. She ran fantastic in Santa Anita. She's a hard trying filly and puts in an A effort every time. And so we're looking at a few spots, but possibly the Diana at Saratoga might be her next spot, I'm thinking.
Nice. Okay, so we'll keep our eye out for that entry. Now, talking about 2-year-olds, there was one in particular that made her second start rather last week, and I thought, the pedigree. It's so interesting to me because this was her second start. Her name is Town Place. I actually have a little video here. It's just at the stretch run, and she actually had debuted going 5 furlongs on the turf. This one's 5.5 furlongs, and she wired the field. She had a bit of a bad start in her debut.
Top of the stretch, Town Place in front. Top of the stretch by 2. Royal County fully extended, a bit green in second, still putting in a run though. Steppers trying to hang in there down toward the rail. Jillian Elizabeth is now 4th. Way out in the center of the course, Kayla Diana's trying to come on from 5th, but Town Place is still there. Town Place kick clear late. And Town Place goes gate to wire, the winner by 2.5 in the end. Jillian Elizabeth got up for second. Royal County was third.
So she'd actually gone off 11-1 in her debut. She goes off favorite there, and she does not disappoint the bettors. She gets the job done. Again, the pedigree is so interesting because she's a daughter of Speightstown, 2004's champion sprinter. He also won the Breeders' Cup Sprint. And then she's out of a Pleasantly Perfect mare. Pleasantly Perfect won the 2003 Breeders' Cup Classic. And what makes this so fascinating is Shearing, who won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies Turf in 2019, it's the same cross, Speightstown over Pleasantly Perfect. In her case, she was out of Shared Account, who won the 2010 Filly and Mare Turf. But as far as this filly's female family goes, it is the direct line responsible for Northern Net and Storm Bird. So tremendous pedigree on this filly. Did she meet your expectations? Or has she met your expectations so far? And what are your plans going forward with her?
She has, Ren. We actually, she was the first 2-year-old I believe we got in this year. I don't have a ton of 2-year-olds in Florida before we come back up to Kentucky, but we took her in down in Florida and kind of put a good bottom in her and got some work into her up here and ran her, and she but made a nice run. Looked at the top of the stretch like she was going to do something, and just got a little tired. And we expected a good run from her. She'd advanced from her first run the other day, and she produced the goods. So we'll give her a little time. And there's not a ton of turf. She works okay on the dirt too, but I think she's going to be a little better on turf. So, but as the year goes on, we'll pick our spots with her, from here on, and probably keep her fresh enough going into the fall, because I think the fall is going to be when you would hope when she'd really shine.
Okay, so hopefully we'll see. Obviously, with the pedigree like that, it would not be crazy to think that she can get that mile juvenile fillies turf race potentially. So who else do you have in the barn that we should take notice of that's a 2-year-old?
I had a nice twirling Candy cold win last week. Candy Landing won first time out, which it's rare enough for me to have a runner at Churchill in June. I don't have a 2-year-old winner, so he won first time out, and I thought he was impressive. He's all of a 2-year-old. He's a nice colt. He really did well about a month, 6 weeks running up to the race physically. So he went out and he won first time out, beat a nice colt of Asmussen's that there was a high regard for. So that's always good when you can live with one of Steve's. And then we've got I ran a nice colt last Sunday, a Candy Ride colt that missed the break and came with a nice run at the end. So far the few that we've ran have run well, but we'll have plenty of 2-year-olds to come in, and I think the better ones, outside of these few, these are nice, but we're never in a rush with them. So I think the better ones, or the better, a lot of them are going to be slower maturing horses. Like a lot of the Godolphin horses are about a month behind these. So they sent us some lovely colts and fillies this year. So we've got them to look forward to. We've got some others as well that are nice. So it's always nice with the 2-year-olds. There's always some hope, but they seem to be a nice bunch in general. But every trainer tells you that in June, right?
Well, I am hoping that I have you back on the show to talk about one of these flashy 2-year-old winners again, because I mean that's always the hope always springs eternal, right? And what was that old saying? Like, nobody ever died who had a good 2-year-old in the barn. There's always the hope, and we're always living vicariously through the hope of this horse turning into something big. They're writing the new chapter of horse racing, and I know that you had a horse come out gangbusters. It impressed so many people, and I'm talking about prevalence. He's not a 2-year-old. Everybody, he's 3, but I know he won the first start of his career by over 8 lengths, and then he won his next start. The Wood Memorial didn't go, great. A sixth place finish there. And then we were all looking forward to him in was it the Matt Win?
The Pat Day Mile.
Or the Pat Day Mile. What am I saying here? Yes, the Pat Day Mile. And so, that just ended up being Jackie's Warrior versus, I think it was Dream Rush was second. Or Dream Shake was second, I think, that day.
Second, yeah.
So he was 8th in that race, but it sounds like he was just kind of done early. So he's taken some time off. What can we expect with him? He's another horse, by the way, just a tremendous pedigree, female family of Desert Stormer.
Yeah. Frank Lyons' filly.
Yeah.
We gave him a little break. Rainey, he came back afterwards and had some bone bruising. Just some typical stuff after having, he had 4 runs. So we gave him a little time off just to let him come around again. And I think he, the Wood probably was a little far. I think he's probably a one turn mile horse, maybe a 7-8 horse. The last day wasn't what we expected. So we weren't, we knew there was maybe something wrong, and he didn't come out of it the way we would have liked. So we're going to give him a little time off and give him some freshening, but he should be back in the fall, and there's a lot to look forward to in him. It's nice, like I said earlier on with Godolphin, they give you free rein to give these horses time if you think they need it, and we're going to give him time, and hopefully, they'll get paid for it at the end of the day, which I think they will.
There you go. And and it was actually 8.5 lengths. And then second for his debut. And then second was Justify's half brother, Stage Raider. So he crushed him.
Yeah.
But not only is his great grandmother Desert Stormer, but his mother's a full sister to Grade 1 winning millionaire Better Lucky. So just again, tremendous pedigree. And it's just exciting to see these horses flesh out what you see in the black type of these catalogs and show it on track. And it's also, like you've said, it's nice to know that the pressure is not there to, okay, let's get this horse back as soon as we can. It's take your time, let this horse blossom, come back from whatever he needs to come back from, and just take it at the horse's pace. And the horses are going to reward you for that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the nice thing. And I think it's the only way to go, really, Ren. You've got to give these horses some time from time to time, and it's either you pay now or you pay later if you don't.
Right.
But that's the thing, especially you were asking me earlier about older horses. It's amazing how much less injuries you have, even like from the summer of their 2-year-old career to the fall. It's all about maturity and letting them mature, and some of them are faster maturers than others, and you get less problems with some than you do with others. But I think with a lot of them, especially horses that are bred by Godolphin and owned by Godolphin, they've got such fantastic pedigrees, as you said. You can never really write them off without giving them a chance, because they're liable to jump up on you. As we saw Prevalence. I didn't get Prevalence until I think November, December of his 2-year-old career, before he even got in the barn. So you never know with them where one's going to come from, and when they're going to jump up on you. And like I said, they're good enough that they'll let them have the time if they need it. And they always show potential anyway, especially the good ones. They'll show you even at 2 some talent, and the ones that need to be persevered with, and the ones that don't. But definitely, them horses, if they're given a chance to mature, there's always a good chance that they're going to jump up and do something special.
You've just been living and breathing horse racing for, I mean, I can't remember how far back you told me it goes. But what is your favorite part of all of it? What is it? Is this just walking in the barn in the morning and nuzzling a horse? Is it being in the winner's circle? Is it the obvious? What is it?
I think I love horses, Rain. I like spending time with them. I like at the end of the day, we came into everybody came into this, and I think people need to remember this. Like, the majority of us came into this initially because of our love for horses, and I think people forget that when they brand us as being cruel, if you like, or the game as being a wrong game and stuff like that. But like, at the end of the day, 99.9% of us are there because of our love for horses. And for me, I wanted to be a horse trainer because I wanted to be around horses. So I'm happier in the barn as I am anywhere else. Be it at the races or in the winner's circle. I mean, it's very rewarding to win races and that, but I do love horses and I like being around them, and sometimes, a lot of the time, I'd rather be around a horse than a human being. So that for me is what's nice. And I like the characters. I like hanging out in the barn, and I think you see an awful lot from spending time in the barn. You were asking me early on about horses' temperaments and stuff. You learn an awful lot walking around the barn at 6 o'clock in the evening when everybody's gone home, maybe more than you do at any time in the day. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about the horses, and they're the ones that deserve all the accolades.
Oh, see, that's part of it. You're so humble. I always say that. It makes it, I think that's part of the reason people root for you so much. You're so humble about the successes, and you're always putting the horse first, and you're always, there's never this feeling of supreme disappointment like you were talking about with Maxfield when he had to take the time off, because obviously everybody was buzzing about Derby for him. And you just never let that be the main point of the conversation. It was always, we're doing right by the horse. If he makes it to Derby, and this was even before he was hurt, If he makes such a Derby, great. Like it's always the day by day by day. And that is why I think, obviously it's that mentality, whether it's you or somebody else who has that same ethic. Those are the people who are successful in this sport. They're letting the horse tell them when, and they're letting the horse shine.
Yeah, I think so. Because, like I said earlier, if you don't, then you're going to pay for it eventually. But yeah, I mean, they're the heroes at the end of the day, and it's nice to have them, and but at the end of the day, if you don't have the horse, you don't have anything. So
Right. And we gotta take.
That's what it's all about. I mean, none of us got to become millionaires or anything like that. So it's at the end of the day, it's all about the horses.
Well, I just thank you so much for being an incredible ambassador for the sport. I've said before, these horses, they can't speak, so the connections have to be their voice, and you've just been this, profound voice for the horses in your care, and it really does speak to the relationship that man has cultivated with the equine. It goes to thousands of years back. They were racing horses. As soon as somebody could jump on the back of a horse, they were racing them. And so to see the evolution from country to country to country, and now where it is today, and again, it's a stewardship. You guys are really representing thousands of years of a relationship, because mankind doesn't have that anymore, by and large, in the mainstream, because obviously the Industrial Revolution, cars replaced everything. Although if that ever falls apart, you know how to ride a horse, I know how to ride a horse, we'll be good.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
We'll be fine. So I advise the rest of you, go learn how to ride a horse. But in any case, this relationship is just so profound, and you're one of those people that when I speak with you, the love that you have for them, it just radiates, and I appreciate that so much. I know I'm not the only one. I'm sure our listeners all do. And so I say thank you on behalf of myself and everybody out there, Brendan, for just being a rock star.
Thank you very much, Ren.
Okay. And if there's anything else that we need to look for, real quick, Ohio Derby. You've got ethical judgment in the Ohio Derby. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I was going to let you go, but then I remembered.
Yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. He's doing great. He hasn't done much wrong, that horse.
No.
A little bit of a slow maturing horse as well. He's a big physical. Came back from having some time off and ran second off the layoff to Folsom, who won the Matt Win very impressively a few weeks ago. And he won then after, really, really ran well. He's a horse, I think, as time goes along, again, he's the one, is going to make a nicer horse, late 3-year-old, 4-year-old, so I'm looking forward. He's doing awfully well at the moment, so I'm hoping that he'll run really well on Saturday. It's not far from an easy spot, but when you put $500,000 on the line, you're not going to find any easy spots. So, it's a competitive race, but I'm expecting a big run out of the horse for sure.
Well, like you said, I mean, for him to have done that off the bench in the slop, showing the speed, getting passed late by Folsom, and then coming back to score at Churchill, mile and 16th, won that by 3.5 lengths, put up an 87 buyer figure. And you're by honor code out of a Smart Strike mare. That's tremendous pedigree, and obviously, I think one that will be even better as he's continuing to mature, as you've already outlined. So I think it's quite exciting, your prospects. You're 8-1 on the morning line. I'll take that bet.
Yeah, no, he's not without a chance. No, believe me, he's been training good. So, I'm pretty confident that he'll run a good race.
Well, our Irish man Brendan representing. And I really, again, I appreciate all the time you gave me today. I'm going on an hour and 23 minutes, so thank you for that. And we are wishing you all the best with all these horses.
Thank you,
and no shame in my game. I'm going to be rooting for Maxfield. There's no impartiality here. I'm completely biased. Go Maxfield on Saturday. in the
Thank
Stephen
you.
Foster
Thank you
win,
very-
and you're in for the Longines Classic. Brendan Walsh, my special guest, everybody. Thank you so much. This has been your Future Stars Forecast.
Thank you, Ren.
Oh,